right, welcome in. It is Unnecessary Roughness Barstool. What are you doing?
I was dancing.
Look at you. You're in front of the number one college football media personality in the country banner.
Yeah, you know what? I realized that if I was really thinking, which I'm never really thinking, I should have.
Change that to Kayce Smith.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But I
Yeah.
didn't think that one through. Thank you
So
for allowing me to use your studio all week. I've moved in.
she gets her makeup done in there, guys.
Well, that's not okay. First of all, that was not my choice. Okay,
Right, but when you say I moved in, you're not just saying I'm doing shows from here. You're getting your entire hair and makeup done in my studio. It smells like hair and makeup.
That part's not my fault because that's where your sister and Paige put me this week, and they were like, Brandon will be fine with it. But I also realized like my bra was just like out on the couch when I was changing earlier. I was like, no, I'm literally treating this like my room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Titus came in earlier to like grab something, and he like saw me and like walked out. I was like, this is your studio. You can come in here. Like,
yeah.
Ignore me.
All right, so it's Unnecessary Reference Barstool's College Football Podcast brought to you by High Noon. Why don't you and Big Ev talk about how delicious High Noon is?
Yeah, Ev, we always give a lot of love to the T's. We give a lot of love to the OGs, but the End Zone pack, which is like the limited fall pack, is really, really popular right now because it has like the year-round classics, the grapefruit and the black cherry, but then the pear and the cranberry. Those are like different like fall type flavors. You know, I've always like when the cranberry came out, I said it would be like a great like winter drink because you could put like it has like the Christmassy type feel. In reality, pear and cranberry are just elite fall flavors.
As you know, pear is 100% a fall flavor. Pear is the sleeper. Pear is absolutely delicious.
It is a sleeper.
You could pair a pear High Noon with just about anything, and it is fantastic.
So good. So the High Noon End Zone pack is only here for a limited amount of time. So if you like the idea, like that's the one thing that I think if I could like build a pack, how much fun that would be because they usually have just like very set packs. So now these limited edition packs let you kind of mix it up a little bit. So like I said, pear, cranberry, grapefruit, and black cherry. It's only here for a limited time. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find it near you.
All right. A lot to talk about and a short period of time to do it. We're going to have our most exciting game of the week, our under-the-radar game of the week, our upset alert, our 2 overtime game of the week, our player of the week, and the Liam Blutman Memorial Cover Your Eyes game of the week. Is that you covering your eyes?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything because the college football show is not out yet. I guess by the time this comes out, maybe it'll be out. I can't wait for Liam on this show. I can't wait.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you need to go watch the college football show because there's some great Liam moments.
Liam Blutman gets a title on tonight's college football show.
Yeah, he does.
And it's from Dave Portnoy, which Dave is an elite nicknamer. And Liam caught Dave's eye in such a way where he got an elite nickname.
We walked out of that room, Kayce, and I was going with Blutman to shoot an ad. And before we got to shoot the ad, he said, I can put that on a T-shirt, right?
But did you hear, like, in the show, Dave said he would wear a T-shirt with that on it.
Yeah.
Like,
if I don't have a T-shirt with that on it by Monday, I'm done. I'm pissed.
And
I was
also
waiting for it to be your name on Twitter, like in your parentheses, like next to
all of it.
Yeah, having Dave in person for the college football show is always better because he's just like on one. But Liam being involved, like it's good. And I've heard the plans for the upcoming show with Liam, and I'm very excited.
So we've got plenty of games to talk about. This is probably our biggest marquee game of the year so far. We'll have others coming down the pipe when when Ohio State gets involved in these games, when Oregon gets involved in these games, and when Texas gets involved in these games. So this week we have number 4 Alabama, number 2 Georgia, and that's going to be going on. So we'll obviously talk about that for a second. Some other big games. I want to first, and I don't want to take long on this because Blutman will talk forever on this topic, but the ever-changing landscape of college football has thrown us kind of a curveball over the last 2 days where, with the open-ended nature of your transfer portal and your NIL and all of these things, and now you throw in the redshirt rule, which is I guess we're going to have to get used to this. I don't know if I noticed it last year, but between weeks 3 and 4, weeks 4 and 5, when teams have a bye week, between those weeks, you're going to see a lot of guys look around and say, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and opt out the rest of the year. I'm going to take my redshirt year, and I'm going to transfer somewhere else next year. Sluka at UNLV did it. Backup running back at UNLV did it. Bear Alexander at USC did it. And then there's been some other players, including a wide receiver from Mississippi State. But Big Ev, is that our new world where we get to week 4 and players are just piecing out because they can get better opportunities elsewhere, or maybe UNLV fucking lied to them?
No, 100%. I think the what you just said, the week 3, week 4 thing is going to be like a staple in college football of like, all right, like this is the week, like
It's like the trade deadline.
anyone going to leave, anyone going to opt out of the season, any stud, maybe you'll see a stud quarterback who transfers somewhere, gets beat out, and then leaves. I think we'll start to see some of that as time goes on. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be sort of the norm. But I guess I'm kind of very enthralled in the Sluka thing as well. I don't know. It's just a weird thing to me. I more tend to believe that Sluka is telling the truth. I just think he has
Down, Blip.
I just don't see the benefit he has to to lying about it. Like he's the starter. You're having a good season. I find it highly unlikely he just won a couple games and all of a sudden was like, "Give me more money or I'm going to walk." I find that way more unlikely than a scumbag coach making a promise he couldn't keep, and then the university saying "Go fuck yourself" and just saying, "Hey, you didn't put anything on paper." But you're not really allowed to put anything on paper. This whole thing is just know there's no regulations to it. There's no. I think our old colleague Trill said it, like it's like a drug deal gone wrong. Like who are you going to complain to?
I loved that tweet. It encapsulated it.
It's a perfect way to describe it. There is no one to complain to. It's just the Wild West.
All right, Blutman, step into the on deck circle because you're about to be up to bat. But the situation here with Sluka is, he's won 3 games. He's a threat on the ground. They look really good. They're a threat to be the G5 representative in playoff. That's how good they've been so far. UNLV, I'm talking about. He has opted out, says he's using his transfer. According to him and his camp, there were some promises made from UNLV, maybe in the form of $100,000 that have not been paid out at all. He hadn't seen that money. He hadn't seen enough of that money, so he's going to go somewhere else. According to UNLV, I'm not sure that was the case. That the promises might not have existed. He's getting what he asked for. Blutman, you are Mr. UNLV. Clear this up for me.
Well, there's, as I've said so many times, there are so many stories. It's difficult what to kind of see and believe. Like, someone's lying. A lot of people are lying. Who's telling the truth? I don't know. I'm more inclined to be on the side that Sluka's agent's just terrible at his job and is absolutely incompetent and sold Sluka on a package that UNLV was offering that was never actually offered. That's where I stand in this. Where I also stand is I do not think people at all are cognizant or really seeing the fact that Sluka was on the verge of being benched. He wasn't like he was completing 43.8% of his passes. Every time I spoke about him, I was remarked, loved his run game, menace on the ground. It's so impressive there. The passing game was holding an offense back, an offense that wants to be explosive, hit big plays, especially in the passing game, because they will kill you on the ground and they will set up the pass. They could not set up a single pass. Haj Malik Williams, the Campbell transfer who came over this year as well, this offseason, and Cameron Friel, who's a homegrown talent that was Mountain West offensive freshman in the year in 2021. Those were 2 guys that were itching to get into the sword there. And they were going to play him because they have a passing game with them. So Sluka was on the verge of being benched. It doesn't make sense. It makes a lot. I don't know. Interesting timing.
Say a sentence, man. Say a sentence.
It was interesting timing in the whole Sluka thing. It was interesting timing because he was about to get benched. And then the whole story comes out. If you just want to take the red shirt, go ahead and take the red shirt. I don't know if I buy this whole $100,000 package thing. I think his agent sold him something that there were no goods.
I have a hard time believing that an agent would just let him make that up.
Well, yeah. But it's
I feel like there has to be some credence to it because I don't if I just sat here and be like, Dave, you promised me like a $2 million raise on my salary, be like, no, I fucking did it. That's the end of it. Like there are enough people that are with this story. And if it is true that they said they were going to give him $100,000 and they didn't, that's really fucking shitty. If he's owed that money and he's not giving it, if he's just making it up because he was going to get benched, that's an entirely different problem. I feel like that is so hard.
Hold on. Blutman, I'm not letting you get away with that. He's not making it up because he was going to get benched. They're 3-0. Nobody's benching their starting quarterback at 3-0. Not happening.
Agreed. I want the record to show when he said that I made a face.
I know.
Yeah,
And I saw you, and I was like, I just don't understand how that would be remotely possible.
Well, I mean, they can talk to you and they can tell you whatever they want. Nobody is benching their quarterback at 3-0 off to the start there.
Your quarterback's saying 12% of his passes thrown for 8 yards, and you have other people in the room that could throw a football, and you're 6-0, and you have like an opportunity to go and do something great. You're not going to make a change at quarterback. That's insane.
No, because I'm winning football games.
43.8% of his passes, and his teammates.
He's also running the ball at least.
Wanted change. I don't see how you don't see that.
That number is being cherry picked. He was brought there to be a runner. He's the team's leading rusher. This completion percentage in 3 games is being but you keep using that as a trigger, as like a trigger stat.
No, that's you're not there to complete. They're not happy with that number.
There to win.
They have a Ricky White who was one of the top. To get Ricky White back, they needed a passer. Ricky White wasn't coming back to watch his.
Why did they start him in the first place?
That's that $1 million question right there.
Why did they start him in the first place? If they
didn't
throw, why did he start a quarterback competition that ended days before the season started.
He won it.
He won in the final days before camp because he's that good. Like, he's a good player and his upside is tremendous, and he just couldn't throw the ball. I don't understand where the three of you and so many other people are coming from. It's such a hard thing to fathom that a guy maybe didn't live up to what he was showing.
Because it's summer. It's
that's crazy.
It's revisionist history.
It's revisionist
history. A guy transfers, and now all of a sudden you're saying, "Oh well, 43%, and we were going to bench him anyway." No, you weren't.
It's not revisionist history because if none of this ever happened, he wasn't even. He was going to be benched soon. Like, that's.
I have never in my history of loving any sport, but I'll just say college football for the sake of this. I have never heard of a 3-0 team, 4-0 team, 5-0 team benching their starting quarterback because his completion percentage wasn't high enough. They bench their quarterback when he starts to suck or they start to lose. That hadn't happened. What's happening now, and I'm not blaming you, Blutman, because obviously you're listening to what you're being told. What's happening now is this kid was promised money. He wasn't paid. He decides to sit and transfer. And they're like, how do we make ourselves look better and look better in this situation? We're going to say we were going to bench him and he wasn't happy and he's going to make something up. There's no way that this kid, his agent, his family, whatever, even if they've not been perfect, just made it up because he was going to get benched when they are undefeated. There's just no way.
There was buzz that he was going to be benched before this all came out though. Like, that's why I'm trying to get across. Like, there was a push from the wide receivers and the tight ends and other people in the locker room for there to be change at quarterback. And you could so clearly see that and how the players reacted on Twitter with everything that they said. The captain of their team, a linebacker, thrilled that there's change at the quarterback position. Receivers celebrating that there's change at the quarterback position. You guys, we could all talk about the whole agent thing and the money and everything else, but how we're just dismissing the fact that a quarterback that was struggling so mightily throwing the football and holding back an offense that has such high hopes and expectations to score points, which they were not doing near as well as they have done as they did last year. It's just not. It's not a hard thing to fathom that they were going to make change at quarterback where they were 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, or 3-0, or 12-0. 12-0, you're not going to do it. But there was a change going to be made at quarterback, and I don't think that's insane to say at all.
All right. I have a rule on this podcast: never get bogged down talking about UNLV's quarterback situation. So they got
Williams, the Hajj
Malik Williams now is their guy. They moved on quickly. The other guys moved on. And it's a clean break. We'll figure out what happens later. But I think the more interesting story is not just UNLV because they're going to deal with it however they deal with it. But it's the more interesting story is this just normal life in week 3 and week 4 going forward? I think it might be.
And they're going to have to regulate it. They're going to have to find a way to do it because it is truly the Wild West. And you're going to have these he said, she said, drug deal type things for a long time if you don't.
All right, let's move on and talk about the 3 games I broke out here. Obviously, the big game is Alabama-Georgia. Obviously, they have a history in recent years. It's been the rivalry in the SEC as far as the top of the conference. Whoever wins the game is the best team in the SEC and usually wins the national title. Nick Saban is not there, but Tuscaloosa is still there. Jalen Milroe is still there. Great defensive talent still there. And Georgia still has to go on the road. Georgia should sue the SEC. They really should. It's the biggest injustice I've ever seen. Nobody's going to cry for Georgia. I'm not going to cry for Georgia, but at Texas, at Ole Miss, at Alabama is fucking disgusting, and it's somebody should be fired from the SEC's office. But Georgia, Alabama, what stands out to you, Big Ev? What are you keying in on with this game?
To me, it's Carson Beck. And it's just, we talked about a little bit last week. I think it's just Georgia coming in not with their tail between their legs, not conservative, going into Tuscaloosa, balls to the wall, playing hard, coaching hard, taking calculated risk. Let's throw the football. I mean, I just think you have an NFL guy, a top prospect. I mean, let him sling the rock. I think they're the better team. The Bama game with USF was like very concerning, especially considering the way Miami just rolled in there and just waxed them from start to finish, just dominated them pillar to pillar. So yeah, I think it's Carson Beck has a big bounce back game, not only from just this season that get that bad taste out of the mouth from Kentucky game and from the SEC title game last year. I think I think Georgia wins the game.
So I'm tired of Alabama, Nick Saban. I want Alabama out of my life for a little while. I need a break. Knowing that, I'm a little scared of this game because Alabama just seems to have that extra something, and I hope it was Nick Saban. I hope that's gone. But Kayce, for everything that can be said about Carson Beck coming in and making this his Heisman moment, you could say the same thing for Jalen Milroe.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've talked about it when we talk about this game that, I mean, I do think Georgia's going to win the game. I think that like they are a better team with a better coach. And I think the Nick Saban factor will come into it. However, if you look at what happens when teams give Jalen Milroe time to get creative, that's when he really shines. And obviously Georgia has an incredible defense, a great defensive front. But if Jalen Milroe has a couple of those moments where he really gets creative and uses his legs and has some long runs, scores some touchdowns, and even if they, like obviously whoever wins the game is going to come out as a bigger Heisman favorite. But like if they win this game and he even has one or two of those moments, like Jalen Milroe shoots up the Heisman board for me because like this is by far the biggest marquee game we've seen. Two incredible storied, rival teams against each other. Carson Beck's the name. Jalen Milroe has an incredible opportunity here. And like I said, if he gets moving and gets creative, like Georgia, I mean, we saw them struggle against Kentucky with that. So I don't know. It makes me nervous for Alabama fans to like go in without Nick Saban, but they still have pretty much everything else.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you feel about these two marquee teams. You know every team in college football, but when something like this happens, a 2 versus 4, where do you approach this game?
It's usually I'd be so excited and everything. It's very funny how it's like not that much on my radar right now at all. Well, I'm very excited for it, like still, but there's just so many other games that I'm kind of itching for, and I'm so obsessed with the whole UNLV and Fresno State game that this is taking.
You are one of a fucking
I know.
kind.
I know.
Alabama is playing Georgia.
I know. It's just
Alabama
2-4 matchup.
Alabama's playing Georgia, and you're like, I can't look away from UNLV. I can't do it.
I mean, I can't look away from the thought of Washington State, Boise State late night either. I can't. Oh my goodness!
Like it would make sense if UNLV was your team. Like obviously, like A&M Arkansas is this weekend, so like I'm really looking forward to that game. But to say that like a random team is more important than more focused on than a 2-4 matchup.
It's just. I mean, the whole like saga that's happened really forces that at hand too. But it's just year after year, I get infatuated with teams and I attach to them. I like watching them and stuff, and that's what happened. What I will say about this game.
Yep.
Alabama, the passing game, the receiving room. Ryan Williams, 17 years old.
Yep.
How is that going to fare playing through a 17-year-old wide receiver? Phenomenal talent. How is that going to fare against Georgia? How is that going to fare against a super tough secondary? It's got Malachi Starks patrolling center field. It's got Julian Humphrey. It's got Dale Everett. And they've got good pass rushers who are going to make things tougher for Jalen Milroe to throw the football. How is that going to play? I don't know. The line being Georgia -2 stinks out loud. I don't get that either. I would have thought they'd have been closer to a touchdown favorite. That feels a little rat poisoning.
Yeah, I think Alabama probably wins this game. I got that same sick feeling I had about Michigan and USC last week. And the noise, if they do win, coming out Georgia will all of a sudden look up, because right now they're number 2. They feel invincible. They haven't lost a regular season game since I don't know, since Noah was building the ark. They haven't lost a regular season game in forever. So they're walking around 10 foot tall and bulletproof. They lose this game, they all of a sudden are 3-1. They fall to like number 8. They got to go to Texas later. They got Tennessee at home, and they go to Ole Miss. If they lose this game, Georgia's in real fucking trouble, and I'm talking real trouble. Alabama's the same way, but I think Georgia's a little bit better, better of a team. And yeah. See, you made fun of Blutman when it happened.
I didn't. You made fun of him.
You kind of look fine in the dark.
Well, that's not very nice.
All right, whatever. Everything's about, Big Av, you mentioned something earlier. Last time we saw Alabama, they didn't look very good, and they struggled against USF, and that's very true. They didn't look very good. If Kentucky had a guy who could get the ball airborne and have it travel 15 yards to the right person, Georgia might have got beat that night. And I don't think that highly of Milroe, but he can throw it 15, 20 yards down the field. So I don't know. Everything about this says Georgia makes it right because of Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, and the players are still good. Going to be great. I don't really feel that passionately one way or the other. I just feel like whoever loses is in severe, severe, severe trouble, because these schedules are unrelenting for both of them.
So you think Alabama's going to win?
Yeah, I do.
That's
I feel the same way.
Yeah, if you ask me who do you want to win, I'd rather see Georgia win, because they're the lesser of two evils to me. But I don't know that boogeyman is completely gone, even though it is. Like there's still some magic in that Alabama air, and that makes me nervous. So moving on, we got a couple more games I pulled out. I pulled out Illinois, Penn State. I pulled out Louisville, Notre Dame. Let's go to Louisville, Notre Dame. Big Ev, is it you that likes this Louisville team a lot?
No, not at all.
No, you know who it is, Scott? I talked to him last week. It's Rico. Rico,
yeah, he does. He was on the preseason. Yeah.
Rico loves this Louisville team, and which makes me believe Notre Dame's going to beat the piss out of them. But Louisville is probably, I think, the quietest team in the country. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know that casual fans can name 3 players on Louisville right now. That's probably how they like it. Obviously, we've seen Notre Dame. Notre Dame has had kind of a weird month. They had the A&M win, then the Northern Illinois loss, and then they bounced back. They beat Purdue by 900. Then they look bad again against another MAC team. Now here, my feeling is you see a big statement from Notre Dame saying, all right, we're not fucking around, just like we did in Purdue. We're gonna Purdue's bad. We're gonna smoke this team, and you're gonna have to deal with us going down the stretch. That's what I think from Notre Dame this week. What do you think, Big F?
I agree with you. I think Louisville's kind of phony. Even the Georgia Tech game last week, I don't know how much you guys watched that, but they, had a lot of stuff go their way, from like a blocked punt touchdown to like a bad lateral, like deep in their own, that basically got recovered for a touchdown. Like, they just had a lot of stuff go their way. They haven't turned the ball over once this year. So I'll give Tyler Shuck, or however you say his name, credit in that regard. But I just think they're kind of fraudulent. Like, I think they should have lost that game outright to Georgia Tech. They were very fortunate to win. The fact that they covered was gross. But I like Notre Dame. I just think defense here makes a big statement, especially the secondary. Obviously, Notre Dame's secondary is elite. I think I'll lay the points with Notre Dame. I really like Notre Dame in the spot, and I hate Notre Dame as a program. So that's me being as honest as I can be.
It's unbiased.
Casey?
So I know you're not supposed to do this, and I know week 1 to week 4 or 5 is always going to be different. But if A&M had a remotely good quarterback, they would have won that football game. Like Notre Dame's defense was good, but A&M on offense was so bad, and we've seen Notre Dame bounce back. That's fine, but I do think that what Tyler Shuck and Ja'Cory Brooks and this Louisville offense is doing is a much better version of team. Obviously, when you look at A&M, again, maybe I'm not supposed to draw those conclusions. But I think Louisville makes this a game. I don't think Notre Dame is very good. Their offense has been up and down. I'm not sold completely on Riley Leonard. And their defense is very good, but this offense is good. And I know Louisville hasn't really played anybody, and I get that, but this is a high-powered offense. And so I'm buying into it. I don't know if I would say that I think Louisville is just going to outright win the game, but I think they're going to cover the points. I'm not sold on Notre Dame. They've looked too Jekyll and Hyde. I almost said what Dan did on the college football show. Yeah. They heckle and jive. They do. They look like two different teams depending on the week, and Louisville has not. So that's why I'm going to take Louisville in the points. But like, I don't know. I'm going to buy Louisville until they give me a reason not to.
What, man?
Yeah. Man, I thought of something to say and actually forgot. Oh, well. Ja'Cory Brooks and Chris Bell are quite a pairing for a top 2 receiving duo.
Yeah.
The thing about, this is what I was going to say. Y'all are saying it wrong. It's Louisville. I don't know what you guys are doing. Louisville, we don't do that. Louisville. That's what I was going to say. But Chris Bell.
May I?
Go
Real
for
quick. And not a big deal. I wouldn't worry about it, but you can shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Because I'll butcher a name quick. First of all, it's Clemson and it's Louisville.
It's Louisville.
Okay.
Louisville.
Sorry,
It's
Brandon.
also Brandon. How do you say the college town where Mississippi State is?
Starkville.
People say Starkville. Sometimes that bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah. Remember the first 2 years of this podcast? What did Jack call the university in South Bend?
Notre Dame. And
Notre Dame.
we got in the biggest fight about it. He was like, that's the way they say it. And I'm like, no, that's the cathedral, sir. It is Notre Dame.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. And you too can shut the fuck up. Continue, Bloodman.
I just think it's so funny how they haven't been tested one bit. And now you're having to go at Notre Dame. Tough place to play. You're playing a team that wants to run the ball down your throat.
And you beat them last year.
Yeah, so like, man, it's so funny just look at the Louisville numbers though and seeing Chris Bell has 6 receptions this year.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
all right, Kayce, let's do some business.
I was going to say, Brandon, I was going to do it after the Alabama-Georgia game, but we can do it this game too. You know where the best place to put your predictions are?
Yeah,
In DraftKings.
yeah.
Because then, Brandon, you can put your money where your mouth is. So DraftKings is the official betting partner of Barstool Sports. Obviously, if you consume any of our content, you know that. And if you're listening to this and somehow have not gotten in to sports gambling through DraftKings, they are giving newbies a great deal right now. If you just bet $5, so just deposit $5, download the app, $5 on any bet you want. It doesn't have to be college football. It could be anything you could possibly dream of on the DraftKings app. You will get instantly $200 in bonus bets. So it's truly just $5 out of your pocket, 200 bonus bets. Bam, done. If you use the code RUFF, all you newbies out there, or, if you've never tried the DraftKings app. So if you have other apps, put those in the past. Use DraftKings. And Brandon, I can't even remember what you said on the college football show because it feels like it was 10 years ago. I thought you took Georgia on the college football show, but I'd imagine you're putting Alabama in your DraftKings app with this one, right?
No, I took the under.
Oh, you took the under.
Yeah.
Okay. So then on the DraftKings
I'm
app.
not gonna bet this particular game. There will be a ton of games I bet this weekend. This one just scares me to death, but yeah, I do like the under.
So score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RUFF. That's code RUFF for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet only $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Speaking of the crown is yours, are you still in? Are you guys all still in the touchdown thing?
No.
Yeah, I am.
I hit both of my redemption ones last week. I was so proud of myself.
Oh, yeah, I'm so happy.
Poo poo.
Illinois, Penn State and its fans are doing a bitch made thing right now that I'm seeing more and more often throughout college football. I think Ole Miss is doing it to Kentucky right now too, where you're trying too hard to make bulletin board material. Ole Miss fans are going after Matt Jones, who said Oxford's not that tough a place to play. He said the team was great, just the stadium, and they're acting like, oh my God, he speaks for all Kentucky, and they're so much better in Kentucky. It's not going to matter. They're going to win by 4 touchdowns, but Penn State is 18-point favorites at home. And the other day, Brett Bielema was asking about it or talked about it, and he's saying, we got great respect for Penn State. It's a terrible place to play. It's all of a great team. I think tonight for us, they're going to have that whiteout energy, whatever the hell that means. And then Penn State fans took that little bitty thing, and are trying to make it this great big bulletin board material. Bitch made ass shit. That's bitch made shit. You don't have to try that hard. You're a better team. Don't be that guy, Penn State.
I completely disagree with this. I completely disagree because now I see your point. I do see your point. However, and I love Brett Bielema and I know Brett Bielema's personality. So I don't think that he was purposely trying to downplay them. But when he's talking about it's harder to win in Lincoln, first of all, that Nebraska game was electric. They won, whatever. I think that if fans can latch onto a comment like that, because he did say it with kind of like, I don't give a shit about the whiteout. Let him do it. Let him, like, whatever can possibly like rile up the fans, rile up the team. Like, I'm all for that because they're looking for something. And if they want to believe that Brett Bielema thinks the whiteout sucks, let him think it.
Big Av, what do you think?
I would prefer it if it was the other way around. Like if Penn State was coming to Illinois and James Franklin had said something like this, I would appreciate it a little more just because Illinois has more of a reason to have a chip on their shoulder in that atmosphere. Whereas with Penn State you're a 3-score favorite. You've been like one of the premier teams in the conference. Illinois is kind of just trying to knock on the door to maybe become that. Who knows if they have get a big win here, but I don't know. I get it, I guess, but I just think Penn State, to me, it's a little insecure out of Penn State. If I'm being totally honest, I think it's a little fearful. Fearful of Illinois coming to town.
But then if you have the opposite where they're like, well, we don't really care. Like we're Penn State, we're 18-point favorites. Then there's like that ego thing, right? Where then it's like, well, we just don't even want to respect an Illinois team who did go into Lincoln, Nebraska and win. I don't know. Like to me,
that's how Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, that's how they would treat Illinois coming in. They wouldn't be like, huh, they better respect us. Like just
but Penn State's not those teams.
They kind of are though. I mean,
they want to be.
They want to be.
They're a hell of a. I mean, if they're not those teams, and I'll agree they're not, they're like a notch below.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also maybe it's just because like I'm taking it from like the standpoint of like if you're like, hey, we need to be as loud as fucking possible. Like it's like if somebody said, well, Starkville's like cowbells don't really rattle you. Well, you're gonna ring the cowbell a little bit harder no matter who it is. Like that to me is like that's like a normal thing. I think Brett Bielema is just so fucking funny when he says stuff like that because it's like, it's just Brett Bielema. Like if James Franklin said it, I would probably hate it more because I think James Franklin's more of a smug asshole than Brett Bielema. Brett Bielema's just like, I don't know, man. Like, what is this whiteout? Like, we're just going to go play football.
Well, he did just say it matter of fact like that too. He wasn't really, but anyway, anybody think Illinois can go in there and win? Because I personally think you do. I'll get to you in a second. I personally think Penn State is one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the country, and they're just waiting for a chance to really show off how good they are. I think people are sleeping on how good Drew Aller is this year. That defense is good. Like, Kayce, give me the case for Illinois going and winning that game.
I mean, I definitely think that Illinois is going to cover. I think 18 points is way too much. Like maybe it's just like I'm in love with the game against Nebraska, but like I just think Luke Altmaier is not getting enough respect. Like I understand Drew Aller and like, people are kind of under talking about him because he was kind of a letdown to a certain degree last year. Luke Altmaier played his ass off. And this Illinois team is very well-rounded. I do think Drew Aller is a better quarterback right now than Dylan Raiola. I think Dylan Raiola will be much better in the future. But like
than who?
Than Drew Aller. I think Dylan Raiola.
I think that's a big statement. He might be, but Drew Aller's really fucking good.
No, I mean Drew Aller is a better quarterback right now. I'm also like very high on the Dylan Raiola, like the fact that he's a true freshman and playing that way. But that's beside the point. We'll see what happens. But I do think that this Illinois team, like 18 points seems, and I know Vegas knows more than us, that seems like almost like disrespectful for how they played. And like we don't know exactly how good Nebraska is. They put a lot into the Colorado win, but like Nebraska's a good football team. Penn State has, like, they've taken care of business, but they've also not looked perfect either. They've not looked like Ohio State has. So I don't know why 18 points seems like way too much. And I do like this offense a lot, and their defense is pretty good.
Penn State had the one game they didn't look good against Bowling Green, correct?
Bowling Green.
They didn't look good against Bowling Green, but I think they looked pretty damn near perfect every other game but that was a big game. Big Ev, what do you think? And I'll quickly move on to our most exciting. We got to get to the categories.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Illinois with the points, but I'm definitely concerned that this could be like an Oregon State spot a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You're like, why? And I was one of them. I took the bait. I was like, why is that line so big? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then they lose by 4 touchdowns. I'm worried about that being like a squash spot where they walk in there and it ends up being like 31-3, something like that. But I'm going to be on Illinois. I'm going to take the bait because I think they're legit. I think their secondary is legit. And I like Kayce said, I really do like Luke Altmaier. He's just playing really, really well. But I'm worried about it. I'm concerned.
Sorry, Big Ev, I got distracted. Kayce has used this opportunity in this show to launch her OnlyFans by pouring water on herself.
I missed my mouth. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, this is probably the most watched part of the show, so go ahead and do some business.
Enjoy unnecessary roughness with some pork rinds.
Yeah,
I just realized that I'm in your office and I don't.
they're around somewhere.
Well, I was upstairs earlier and there's like a gigantic box hiding. And I was like, I wonder if Brandon knows that they're even up here. So pork rinds, they are friends of the podcast for the rest of the season. We talk about them every single episode because they truly are the best snack in the game. You can get that nice crunch, that ASMR, which also would be a good time for this moment to do that after I spilled water all over myself. The spicy dill, phenomenal. Hot honey, sweet barbecue, salt and pepper, the regular, the plain, all of them, absolutely delicious. Porkrinds.com. You can go find your crunch time hero. There's nothing better than a good snack when you're watching football. Like, you don't have to think about it. You can just lay there, like, just right out of the bag. Pork rinds, no carbs, like less than 1 gram of carbs in every serving size, and a lot of protein, Brandon. What more could you ask for?
You can't, and the taste is phenomenal, and that's probably the best part because the spicy dill is one of the best tastes I've ever had in my life. Yeah, porkrinds.com. All right. Now, I got to ask you all a question before we go. Should it be what game are you most excited about, or what game outside of Alabama and Georgia are you most excited about?
Option B, because I think other than Liam, who's more excited about UNLV, I think all three of us would probably say Alabama and Georgia, if I had to guess.
He's definitely saying UNLV and Fresno.
Wrong.
Are you saying Washington State, Boise State?
Wrong.
Okay, wow. Well, who knows? You know what? Everybody free ball, do whatever you want. Big Ev, what game are you most excited about this week?
You know what? I'll just do it. I'm excited for the Buckeyes. I'm excited to see them play a real team. I want to see them play a real team. I want to see them play a team with a pulse. And Michigan State is like, their defense has been really good this year. I give them a lot of credit for that, so I'm excited to see this offense against that defense on the road going to East Lansing. I think we smash them. I think Aiden Child is going to have some turnovers here against this defense. Obviously prone to that. I think this defense will force that out of him. But yeah, I'm excited to see this team play a real team.
Lubman?
Yeah, it's Maryland, Indiana. I don't think this Maryland team has actually got enough. I know they had the Michigan State loss and it was a bit ugly, but that passing attack is lethal. And Ty Felton is a monster. I'll talk about him later. That's a game I cannot wait for. We'll find out if Indiana could get to 5-0 or if Maryland kind of surges and gets to 4-1. I think that's a sneaky good game that more people should probably be talking about. I can't wait for it early in the day.
Kayce, what game are you most excited about?
Well, since you said we could talk about whatever, I mean, I am going to go Alabama, Georgia, and then I'll give my second option. But the biggest thing with Alabama, Georgia, outside of everything we've already talked about, is it's going to start to give us a little bit more of a landscape of what the SEC path to the playoff could look like. Because we know that with 12 teams, obviously, there's going to be multiple teams from multiple conferences. And the SEC is still, there's so many. And Brandon, I love the way you put this on whatever episode it was, like puppies at the food bowl. Like, there's just so many of them right now. So whoever wins this game is going to have that, like I'd be like, okay, they're in the playoff. Like, we know that, barring some like catastrophe. And the other one is going to have to fight back when you've got the Ole Misses and the Tennessees and the Texas out there. That's the most exciting for me from a obvious standpoint, 2 top 5 teams. And then I'm going to go kind of on the biased angle, like it's not kind of, it is biased angle like Big Ev. A&M and Arkansas in AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Weird shit always happens. A&M has had an absolute dominant run, especially since we joined the SEC. But that game, no matter who is a better team, is always weird. There's always overtimes. There's always crazy turnovers. I think it's the last one in Arlington. I think that or at least like the last one of the contract. I'm not sure exactly. It's coming up. I'm excited about that game. Like, I think A&M is a much better team. I think Arkansas stinks. I hate Arkansas fans for the most part. There's some that are nice, but this is one of those low-key rivalry games that you always look forward to, and you just pray and hope that you win so you don't have to hear from the other fan base. What, Brandon? Oh, Brandon, what game are you most looking forward to?
I got to tell you something. Texas, you are in trouble.
Get them.
Nah.
Real menacing.
It's Alabama, Georgia. Come
Yeah.
on. And for this reason alone, obviously it's number 2 against number 4. Obviously it's the first huge game since Nick Saban left. Obviously it's fighting for early season supremacy in the SEC. I will fight back on one thing you said. You said the winner of this game will be in the playoff. Maybe if it's Alabama, but not if it's Georgia. If it's Georgia, they win at Alabama, they still have to play Tennessee. They still
I said barring some catastrophe.
Well, I don't even think it would be a catastrophe. That's the problem. Georgia, if they win this game, still got to play Tennessee. They still got to play Texas on the road. They still got to play Ole Miss on the road. So they still got a lot of hay to put in the barn. But it's for this reason. It's the first time we kind of did it with Nebraska, Colorado. I guess we tried to last week with Tennessee, Oklahoma. Didn't really work because that game sucked. It's the first huge game, night game of the year where we'll all be watching. We'll all be watching together. Twitter will be only focused on this one game. It's the first big national event game of this season. Texas, Michigan was in the middle of the afternoon. They kind of lived up to that a little bit, but not really. This is the first huge event of the college football season, and that's why I'm most excited about it.
It's a huge event, and there's just so much on the line, and it's the Nick Saban thing. Like, I always watch the Barstool College Football Show first, always. I'm very excited to watch Nick Saban break this game down, like when, on the clips are on College Game Day, just because there's just so much involved in this. Like it is a true like college football porn type of game, like across the board. Like it really is just the storylines, the teams, what's on the line. I'm super pumped.
What's the most under the radar game of the weekend? Blutman, I will start with you. Get your 9 out of the way.
My 9 out the way. I wrote down Fresno
Don't you
State.
say 9.
I wrote down UNLV Fresno State and just put a massive question mark. I don't know if we could consider that it. I think everyone's well aware of that and the stakes that game now has for both sides because Fresno State's a dang good team as well. I'm going with Louisiana at Wake Forest, though. Way under the radar here. This is a game that Wake Forest needs pretty badly. They're favored by just 3.5. And this is being played during a pretty solid slate of games going on at the same time. ULL, very competent, has been Ben Woolridge at quarterback, and their run game is dangerous. They've got 3 threats in Bill Davis, Zylan Perry, and Traylon Washington, all good home run hitters.
Big Av, your under the radar game of the week.
Mine's Friday night. It's Washington Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
First real Big Ten trip. We're seeing a full West Coast to East Coast Friday night. Rutgers. I like Rutgers in the game, but it's a game I'm excited for. I think I know Washington obviously had the bad game against Washington State, but I actually think they're not bad. I actually think they're pretty good. And I think it should be a very competitive game. I think 2 teams that are probably middle of the roadish, maybe climbing just above, winner gets just above that in the Big Ten. Especially, the season that Rutgers is having to start off, big Virginia Tech win last week. If they beat Washington here, they're in a really good spot, a phenomenal start to their season. Maybe they can make some noise some of their later big conference games, especially if they win this, some hype around it. But yeah, I think that's going to be a really if you're you like man football, this is a game for you.
Yeah.
Kayce, you're under the radar game of the week.
I'd like to officially apologize if I've ever made fun of Liam for the lights turning off in this studio, because it's now happened twice to me. So I apologize. Yeah. Under the radar game, and Brandon, I did see you going back and forth with somebody on Twitter that they added this game, but it's under the radar because it's just a gross game, I think. But the OU Auburn game is very fascinating. It's gross. Hear me out. But we're gonna see Michael Hawkins Jr. Oh, thank you. I didn't know you were right. Oh, Liam's turning the lights on for me. What a guy. What a teammate right there. Michael Hawkins Jr. starting for the Sooners. I personally think Oklahoma is going to roll Auburn. And I think Auburn is just that bad. But it is under the radar from a standpoint of Oklahoma looked bad against Tennessee. Tennessee could have scored 50 points on them. But how bad is Oklahoma? Because we know how bad Auburn is. How bad is Oklahoma? Tennessee could just be really, really fucking good. So this to me is a good indication of exactly where Oklahoma lands in the SEC in their first season in the conference. But you've got 2 new quarterbacks. I know Hank Brown played last week, but I'm excited. I'm not excited. That's not the right word. I'm intrigued by this matchup because it's 2 teams that don't really matter. And it's like I said, it's going to be a trash game, but also there's a lot on the line for what's the future for the Sooners. Brandon, under the radar game.
I can't believe this game got to me. Colorado plays great, fun, interesting games every week, and
it's
UCF
segment for me.
What?
It's coming up in a different segment for me.
UCF is just kind of laying there, and they're potentially really good. They got an offense. They got speed all over the place. They should go up and down the field. Colorado could go up and down the field. You could look at this game. This could be 48-45 in the fourth quarter. I don't think Colorado can beat them. I think UCF's a better team. I think they got better talent. But I think this could be a very, very fun game to watch. Very exciting. So I would go Colorado, UCF down there in Orlando. First really big spot of the year for the UCF fan base to really show out. When Colorado comes to town right now, it is a big deal. And that's a sneaky, loud, awesome place. Not even sneaky. That's a loud, awesome place. So I would go with that game.
I like it.
got any
UCF,
more?
very, very under the radar in the Big 12 is UCF.
Very under the radar. Yes.
Like a state just laying there, just ready to just bite someone.
I just PJ Jefferson. I just can't wrap my head around that he's a UCF quarterback.
Yeah, but they got speed everywhere, man. Great running back. What?
Harvey.
RJ Harvey. Yeah.
And Peyton Boone too.
Yeah. All right, Kayce, we got any more business?
Yes, we do. We have a new sponsor, Brandon Walker. We have a new one. It is Huel, Huel.
Yeah.
I know, Brandon, you're on a health journey right now, a wellness.
I'm trying.
How's the weight loss going?
Trying.
You're trying. Okay, that's all that matters. You're trying. Okay, so Huel has it's a great wellness line. One of the things that they have is a great protein shake. And we know that protein shakes are very important because if you're running late, there's no time for breakfast and you're starving, you need something delicious, but you need something nutritious that can be ready in seconds. And this podcast is now sponsored by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand. I love their daily greens. I love the daily greens. Like, I am a big greens girl, always have been. And like, when you get a good brand like Huel that does the daily greens right with not all the added crazy crap in it, it just changes your whole day. So they've got the protein, they've got the greens, they've got a ton of different types of meals. Like, it is your best friend right now, Brandon. You need the greens, you need the protein.
Yeah, I do. I need to get on it big time because it will help me along my weight loss journey. So yeah, as soon as I get back to the office, I'm gonna make sure I get whatever I need to get, and I'm gonna get on the Huel train.
Yes, get on the Huel train. And most importantly, like, as a lot of times with these wellness brands, like with greens and protein, they can be pretty expensive. Huel is incredibly affordable, and it's a high protein meal starting at just $2.50, which is crazy when you look at, like, this is a nutritious thing. You're not putting crap into your body. It's a budget friendly option that we're genuinely excited about. And everybody knows that whenever we have new sponsors, we get to try it. I cannot talk about the greens enough. They are phenomenal. They've got a bunch of different stuff. So if you go to huel.com/UR, that's HUEL.com/UR, you get 15% off using the code UR. So use the code and the URL. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. Again, huel.com/UR with promo code UR.
All right, Big Ed, put somebody on upset alert right now.
I'm gonna say it's Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Or excuse me, Mitch is doing mixed up segments there. Give me I thought you were doing the underdog.
I'm gonna start segment over, Big Ev, and I'm gonna let you get a mulligan. I want you to step back up to the
no, good call. Yeah.
You ready? All right.
A little hezzy there.
Hey, Big Ev. This segment's called Upset Alert. Who you got?
I'm going back to back. Same team's getting upset again. It's Kansas State.
Yeah.
This team is phony. They are fraudulent. And now I'm not going to sit here and tell you Oklahoma State's really good because they're not. They're not really good. But I think they're better than Kansas State. I think Avery Johnson is just maybe end up by the end of the season being one of the biggest hype jobs ever, one of the biggest. How did they push Will Howard out the door? It's because he's not very good. I think Oklahoma State comes in and wins. Mike Gundy's 4-1 against Kleiman. Oklahoma State goes into Kansas State, upsets them.
You want to talk about a hype job too? I mean, you've got Ollie Gordon. I know we've talked about a bunch about him on this podcast too, but Avery Johnson and Ollie Gordon, both of those guys were year-olds going into the season.
Blevin, upset alert.
We got a great trio of some late night games, and one of them, Boise State's a touchdown favorite at home against Wazoo. And I just don't know if I could agree with them being the touchdown favorite against Wazoo. I'll be quite honest. I don't know if I agree with Boise State being ranked right now. Washington State, good little scrappy team, eh? What they did against Washington, the fight back against San Jose State. Well, they shouldn't have been down. They found their way. They clawed back into it, and they got things going. I could be getting trapped here. I really could. But we know the Boise State defense is suspect. And we know the Wazoo offense that could hit explosive plays and get in their bag with John Mateer, the dual threat demon at quarterback. Keeping that Boise State offense in check, tough task. You can't really stop Genty. But, man, because you've got to spend so many assets on him, you just can't let Maddox Madsen figure it out and start hitting other reads.
Say, you said you had 3?
What? No, I said 1.
You didn't say the word trio?
I said trio of late night football to watch. Arizona,
you could
Utah,
you could
Oregon, UCLA,
you could
Washington
see
State,
you
Boise State. I
you
can't
can see where you
I
leading
can't,
off with the
I
word
can't.
trio would be misleading.
No, because I said a great trio of late night games to watch.
I said who you got. You said I got a great trio of games.
No, I said we have a great trio of games to
He
watch
did.
late night. You're
I
tripping
can see
big
both
time,
sides of
big
this.
customer.
I can see both sides of this.
Shut up, Kayce. Upset alert.
This was where I was going to talk about Colorado. I know you already mentioned it. I think, I mean, again, maybe it's just my KJ Jefferson bias. Like, I know that they've got a great running back. I get that. I think that we're going to look back at the Nebraska game for Colorado and obviously the first game, and I can't even remember who they played now. Who did they play the first game?
Who are you talking about? Colorado?
Colorado.
Let's see. They
North Dakota
played.
Yes.
State.
Yeah.
We talked about how bad the defense was, and I'm not saying that, like, outside of Travis Hunter, and I'm not saying they're going to get like astronomically better, but I do think throughout the season we're going to see them. And I mean, I think it's like at 14.5 right now, maybe down to 14. Like, I think Colorado can win this game. I don't know, like, I understand UCF's just quietly laying there, but they haven't really played anybody. I think Colorado's going to get better, and that offense is just electric. I love Travis Hunter, I love Shador, so I'm putting them on upset alert. And spoiler, they're also going to be in our parlay.
I got two.
Hit us.
No. That was
Whoa!
Oh!
no. That was not on purpose. I have two. Auburn's going to beat Oklahoma.
No,
Auburn
they're not.
is, huh?
No, they're not.
You tell me why not.
Auburn is garbage.
Right, exactly. Auburn's as low as you can get right now. Everybody thinks they're just terrible and they can't get better, and they're not. They are young. They're trying to figure out the quarterback right now. They got talent, the receivers. There's talent on the team. The defense is pretty good. Hugh Freeze is also much better as a dangerous underdog than he is as somebody who thinks he's going to win the game. They are lower than low right now. So why, Kayce? Why, if they're lower than fucking dirt right now, are they 2.5-point dogs to a ranked Oklahoma walking in? Oklahoma has never played a road game in the SEC. Oklahoma has panicked on the quarterback, and they're starting the wrong guy. They're starting a true freshman going into a tough stadium, first ever road game in the SEC. They couldn't score. They couldn't move the ball against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is good. It ain't. I don't think it's super elite. The front seven is, but the back five or the back four can be beat, and Oklahoma couldn't do it. I think their defense feels like they're great. Oklahoma fans think their defense is great. Josh Heupel just took it easy on you, in my opinion. Auburn beats Oklahoma this weekend. That's what I think. And number two, if you can't throw the ball and your last big win was based on the fact that the defense you were playing just couldn't tackle in the 2-minute drill, Michigan should be on upset alert every time they play any team that can physically field a football team. Minnesota's not great, but could I see this being a 13-10 game hanging in the balance in the fourth quarter because Michigan can't fucking throw, can't move the ball? Yeah, I can. I think Michigan will win, but upset alert is just that. It's alert. You better watch out because you might be in a fucking fight in the fourth quarter.
Michigan being favored by 9.5 is surprising when they just simply can't throw a forward pass.
Well, Minnesota stinks, but
Yeah.
it came out at what, 12, and it jumped down to 9.5 pretty quick.
Yeah, but Michigan, yes, they beat USC, and that's all fine and good, but they can't throw the ball forward.
Yeah.
Minnesota really can't either. They have the offensive philosophy of someone who spawned into the world in 1811.
Oh, okay.
They can't throw a football. They don't want to throw the football.
1811, random year.
No, just a random year. Probably in 1811.
He's.
What are you typing in? Just 1811 and
Kayce, he's my favorite boy. I don't know what to tell y'all. I just get so delighted when he talks.
Wait, were you talking about Minnesota or Michigan?
He said Minnesota.
Minnesota I was talking about. Both of them it applies to, but Minnesota I was talking about.
All right. If any game goes to 2 overtimes this week, what's the 2 overtime classic potential? Big Av, what's your game?
I have the pick. This is the pick.
This is the pick.
It's Kansas TCU. That's the pick.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the pick.
I picked Kansas last week for this. I did think about him this week.
This is a game. This is two desperate teams. Desperate. Especially Kansas. But for the record, I think I'm going to bet TCU in the game. I'm going to take +2. But I think this is a, if you're ever going to get like a last hit effort at Kansas, I mean, this has to be it. they're just bad. I do think they're just bad. Them losing the offensive coordinator, you can see it. They desperately need is hurting them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think this is chaos written all over it. Probably high scoring. Kansas TCU.
Blutman, 2 overtime game potential.
Yeah, I mean, what happens when these two teams get together? 1-2 Samford, 1-3 Furman usually tend to play some close games. How about the March 6th, 2021 game that went to overtime, the only game to go to overtime in matchup history? What happens when Quincy Crittenden and Trey Hedden play quarterback against each other? Overtime, sparks fly. Samford Furman.
Did you say a game in March went to overtime?
Yeah, the
'Cause
COVID year. Remember the FCS?
COVID FCS
Oh
game
fuck!
in the
Okay,
spring
God, I was gonna say. I was like, what?
was sick.
Casey? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how to follow that. It's A&M Arkansas for all the things I've already said. Those games go into overtime. It feels like more than not. And if I'm not going to be biased on that, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, like two very evenly ranked teams. 2023 Big 12 seems kind of like a hot mess. Ollie Gordon overhyped, Avery Johnson overhyped. I don't know. The Big 12 in general right now feels like an overtime type of conference. I have no idea why it feels that way, but it does. But the answer is obviously A&M Arkansas. Brandon?
Somebody rang my doorbell. There's going to come a time on Saturday afternoon, like 6 o'clock, Saturday evening at 6 o'clock. There's no reason for you to be really watching this team, these two teams, or this game. But I have a feeling you're going to be flipping, and after the 2:30 games start to go final, you're going to be like, "Whoa, this one's still going on. What's UNC Duke doing going into? They're going into second overtime. It's 42-42. Oh my goodness! It just feels like two teams that are just attracted to a big time finish like this for no other reason that there's no reason to really watch UNC Duke. UNC kind of proved last week that they're not really much to talk about, but those teams kind of tend to play the games where you're like, oh my fucking God, can you believe what happened in Chapel Hill or Durham, wherever the fuck they're playing this game? So I got UNC Duke for that one.
They're playing
went to double OT last year.
Well, there you go. So probably a bad pick because they're not going to do it 2 years in a row, but what do I know? Two more?
Will Mac Brown threaten to quit again?
No, he might just quit.
Yeah.
I like to think he didn't threaten to quit. I like to think he quit and he just has poor memory, so he showed up anyway.
100%.
Somebody had to calm him down. Somebody had to.
Yeah, it's like Mac Brown is basically Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates now. He wakes up and just does whatever he's going to do. They have to remind him what he said yesterday. Who's the player to watch this week, Big Ev?
I already kind of said it earlier. I think it's Carson Beck. I think he's who I'm most excited to watch is in this matchup. Like I said, they didn't let him loose in the SEC title game. I really think they're going to here. Carson. This is a massive Heisman moment. You could say the same about Jalen Milroe, like we said earlier, but I'm going Carson Beck. I think this is a moment that he seizes it. But I'm curious to watch because this is also a big moment for him. I imagine a lot of NFL scouts will be there. If they're not there, they'll be watching. This is a big moment for him to kind of maybe propel himself back ahead of Quinn Ewers. I feel like Quinn Ewers has kind of maybe surpassed him in NFL scouts talk after the big Michigan game. So, yeah, Carson Beck. Really excited to see how he performs in this game.
Blutman, player to watch.
This time I do have a trio of things for you, Brandon. Of course, for each day that there is college football, Army plays ball tonight. You could go and watch the star dual threat guy, Bryson Daly, but how about running back Kanye Udo? 37 carries on the year, 169 yards, 3 touchdowns, tough bruising back, puts forth so much extra effort and energy each rep. Brandon, Nikki Smokes, first thing you think of?
Chlamydia.
Broward County, so close. Miami running back Jordan Lyle, 29 carries on a year for 233 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's 8 yards per carry. He's a true freshman. He's playing in a crowded running back room with a lot of competition, including Damian Martinez. That elite speed, that vision at a 6', 190 frame, helping them get on the field. That coaching staff loves him, and you could tell by the fact he's carried the ball 29 times already in that room. Third, talked about him briefly earlier. Ty Felton, wide receiver at Maryland. He's got 41 catches this year for 604 and 5 touchdowns. We're still in September. Do you know that he's the only FBS player that has 100-plus receiving yards in all 4 games this season? Heck, he's got double-digit catches in 2 of those.
I knew that.
Big 6'2". I'm proud of you, Brand. 6'2" threat. Big time speed, strength, terrific hands, fascinating concentration, stellar body control, brutal guy to tackle after a catch. He's one of the best guys in the country after a catch. Plenty of front offices are taking a liking to this guy, and rightfully so.
Kayce, when we get to the end of the segment, do we have one more piece of business or two? Is it just the dog parlay is coming up? Or we'll do that at the end.
Yes.
All right. So, Kayce, who's your player to watch?
It's Jackson Dart. Ole Miss is opening up SEC play. You know, they absolutely killed the first 4 teams that they played. And I do think they're much better than Kentucky. I think that they kill Kentucky, but it'll be interesting to see him against an SEC defense. And I understand, Kentucky gave Georgia fits. So again, that college football math that maybe you're not supposed to do. But I think that we're really going to see exactly how good this offense is going to look going into SEC play. Obviously, that's not Georgia. Obviously, it's not Texas. It's not Alabama. But if Jackson Dart can go in and have a game like he has had, even remotely close to it, like he's going to soar up Heisman boards too. And I think he's probably like 2nd or 3rd right now as it is. But SEC play at home in front of their crowd in Oxford, I think it's going to be a lot of fun for them. I'm excited to watch them play.
I'm going to go with kind of the same principle. People have kind of scoffed this year when you say this. But this is the first big game. They'll have the whiteout energy. But it's time that the country accepts that Drew Aller is really fucking good. And Drew Aller has been great this year, and he got shit on for not beating the 2 best defenses in the country last year in Ohio State and Michigan. And that's just not something you should shit on a young guy for. I think his numbers are up to, in his career, he's up to 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, something very, very small. The discrepancy there is huge. And they're playing Illinois team who's 4-0, who went to Nebraska and won. But Raiola had some moments in that game and put up some numbers against Illinois. And I think Drew Aller is going to do even better. Big F talked about it, that offensive coordinator that Kansas lost. Well, where is he? He's up there helping. He's unlocked Drew Aller into a different man this year. Kotelnicki's at Penn State, and they're doing things. Drew Aller's my player to watch, and y'all better wake up because this guy is coming, and he is very good this year.
I love that pick, Brandon, and we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up that this is a great test for him because Illinois has 4 really good defensive backs. That team's got 7 interceptions already, and they're from 3 guys. Great test for Aller. He's going to make a lot of people in front offices very excited.
Thank you very much, Blutman. That was nice.
I'm an Aller guy right there with you, through and through. Never sold the stock.
I never did, and I never will. Last one is the Liam Blutman Memorial Cover Your Eyes Game of the Week. I'm going to go first.
I know what it is because I'm doing the same one.
Well, you go to hell. I'm not going to lie. Y'all can look behind me. There's cowbells. There's cowbells. I don't know if y'all know it. I'm a Mississippi State fan. I've been with you guys for 5 years. You guys who are watching, you guys who are listening, and I appreciate it. I consider you family, and that's not just a slogan for another show. I'm as a family member, I want to come to you and I want to say that I have a problem and I need you to help me with it. Don't watch Mississippi State and Texas. We're at the bottom. Coach died, and we're at the bottom. We're trying to fight our way out of this. I'm going to get the NIL going, and we're gonna get out of it. But right now, we have Texas this week, and if a road trip to Texas isn't enough, our next game is at Georgia. Fuck you, SEC. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be like 48-0. But God bless us all, and please don't watch. That's my cover your eyes, Mississippi State, Texas.
Well, I'm going to just go ahead and piggyback off of that. I'm covering my eyes in honor of you. Because I just can't, thank you, Liam. I just cannot fathom being an underdog by 40 points in conference. And A&M's had some bad losses. And I don't know if you've stood by me or not. I don't know if you have, but I'm going to do it because you know what, Brandon? We are family. And I've got a cowbell right here. And more importantly, I really want you to have that ribeye steak, cooked medium rare, with a baked potato, with the butter on it, and a moderately priced, hopefully dry red wine. And even more, I want you to have some chocolate cake afterwards. I want you to have whatever chocolatey dessert they have at that lovely steakhouse because you deserve it, Brandon.
Well, I don't want to give away my confidence level in the game, but I have already made the reservation for the steakhouse.
Well, I can imagine that you like don't even have to watch the game to know that you're going to go there. Like
the reservation's for Friday night. That's how.
and like
that's how.
And let us remind everyone, it's not if Texas covers. It's just if Texas wins.
If Texas wins, I swear to God, I'll eat a 22-ounce ribeye with a baked potato covered in butter and sour cream, and I will drink a moderately priced glass of red wine. And you fucking say I won't.
You know what, Brandon? I'm going to double down. It's not only the cover your eyes game of the week for me because I'm doing this out of solidarity with you. I will also have a glass of wine in your honor. I might have two.
Yeah. So you go ahead and fold that into the 7 you were already going to have.
When we get on the podcast at midnight on Saturday night, I'll have a glass of wine for you. How about that?
Big F, your cover the eyes game of the week.
This is another one. I have the pick. The pick is Air Force Wyoming. This is a disgusting football game.
Wyoming is trash.
They're awful. These are two teams. And listen, I know Air Force runs triple option, so this is a little bit cherry picking. But their starting quarterbacks in this game have thrown for a combined less than 600 yards this season in a combined 7 games. 600 yards.
Jesus,
that is putrid. They both stink, especially Wyoming. They really stink.
Blutman, your cover your eyes game of the week.
How many points has Air Force scored this year?
I don't know.
Give a guess.
Have they played 4 games or 3?
3.
I'm going to say they've scored 51 points.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see? This is the problem. You guys are giving way too much credit for how bad Wyoming is and not enough credit for how awful Air Force is. This was also my pick, Ev. Salute to you. Air Force lost so much. The regression here is not surprising in the slightest. They've scored 16 points in 3 games. 16 points in 3 games. This game is grotesque in every sense of the word, and I don't know if these teams will surpass the 23-point mark. This is going to be gross, ugly, run the ball for 1.8 yard per carry type of football, and I can't wait to have this on the big screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Dog of the Week parlay from Unnecessary Roughness presented by DraftKings. And remember, DraftKings also has this week the College Football Parlay Profit Boost. All you have to do is head to the app and opt in. So head to the app now, DraftKings, to check out our bet and claim this week's boost. And we're going to put that parlay together right now. And it's we're all going to give an underdog pick. Big Av, what is your pick?
My pick is Cincinnati +3. This is a very under-the-radar team. I said they got their souls ripped out by Pitt, who I think is a solid team. They should have won that game. They should be undefeated. Defense, very under the radar. Shout out Dante Corleone. What a name. What a name for a defensive tackle. Unbelievable. And Brendan Sorsby, who I will give credit, I was not high on coming into the year, is playing really, really good football so far this season. Cincinnati's a very, very sneaky team. I think they do a little, hey, I'm here kind of game. Yeah. Little, hey,
hi.
Go to Lubbock and win a football game. Go, oh, you know that Cincinnati team, they're not bad. They might be pretty good. Cincinnati +3.
Blutman, yours.
I'm playing against the Boston College scheme here. I've talked about how dominant they need to be on time of possession and all that stuff. If they're going to milk the clock, I mean, let's be honest. Underdogs have a better chance to win these football games, at least stay in these football games now. I like Western Kentucky getting about 2 touchdowns here, +13. Really solid passing attack once again. Decent on the ground. I like Western Kentucky to be able to score in this game and make it closer than 13.
Kayce, yours.
I already said it. It's going to be Colorado. Even if they just stay within the number, I think they're going to win the game, but I think it's 14.5. I like them to keep it close with UCF.
All right. So it's Cincinnati +3. It's Western Kentucky plus what?
13.
It's Colorado +14.5, and it is Minnesota +9.5. Michigan probably wins the game, but this game might be 3-0 final. It might be 10-7 final. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be PU stinky. It's going to go by quick, and Minnesota's going to cover the spread because Michigan doesn't belong as a 9.5-point favorite against Big Ev, me, and Blutman. So that's my pick. That's our picks, and that is the Unnecessary Roughness Dog of the Week parlay presented by DraftKings this week. Remember, DraftKings has a College Football Parlay Profit Boost. All you have to do is head to the app right now, DraftKings, and opt in. So head to the app now to check out our bet and claim this week's boost. Well, College football is here once again. We'll see you Saturday night. We'll be right after Alabama and Georgia, and we'll be live. So hopefully a big number of fans watch that night. Kayce, go ahead and take your picture.
Oh, I was going to say that the profit, or not the profit, the parlay. I've always gets the parlay is plus 1270. Okay.
All right, so head to DraftKings and do that, and we will see you Saturday night.